Okay, today I want to talk about Space Station Gaming's Oregon Laundry defense hold against TSM. This was one of two rounds that they played this objective on this map during this game. So they did a supported T3 hold in this round, and they did a similar kind of hold in not the next round they played in the game, but the next round that they played this hold, and I think that was the last round of the game. And they end up winning it, of course. So some of the things in this round, I had to look at the other round to extract because it was never shown from the top-down perspective. I don't believe so a couple assumptions are made, but I believe they're accurate. It looks like they do pretty much the exact same setup with a slightly different hold. They play it slightly differently, I should say. Okay, so again, Space Station versus TSM. This is from September 29th, 2021. NAL 2021 season, stage 3. This was play day number 6, the first game of the day, and this is going to be round 7. So I have this in dark mode, and I have it nice and big. Hopefully you can see the words on this. I'm going to read through everything and explain it. But first, let's just take a look at the round and see how it plays out, and then I'll come back to this and sort of explain it, and then I'll play through again, pause, and explain things as we go, I suppose. So here is the video.
The majority of the time, the real saving grace for TSM, and I think the main reason they got 3 rounds out of that first half, is specifically the bottom floor defense, which is going to be the first site that SSG go to now in the second half. Because that bottom floor defense, specifically the thing that SSG was relying on when they were attacking, that cut from freezer door, just was ineffective. And because of that, TSM were able to hard counter, and they managed to get those 2 really important rounds. So now going into the second half, there's a lot of strategies that you could see in play from both of these teams. That's typical of TSM and SSG. So there's no guarantee this is going to be another 3-3 half. One of these teams could start running away with it here. Here's to find out what's going to happen.
Bolo's on the Finca this time, so TSM likes this operator an awful lot. Michael Merck is going to be on Sledge, so a small change in terms of who's going to be playing what operator. It was talked about in the pre-show. You might be wondering to yourself, why are we talking about Finca? Well, we've seen Finca through 2 rounds thus far. SSG brought her out for a single round, and that was it. The experiment was very short-lived. Maybe 2 rounds? I can't exactly recall if it was 2, but I know 1 for sure. As for TSM, it's Merck's most played operator. So that is something to keep an eye on in regards to how this is going to be used by TSM. As we talk about that, 30 seconds into the very first defense for SSG, and they've got Rampy on a suicide mission right now, playing at the top of Big Tower. Hot and Cold is not too far off. They see drones dropping in front of them, and Rampy's going to be sitting with some denial from those ADSs, but they'll only catch 2 things. Surya Gates there in front of him as well could potentially help, and a nade from below is tossed out, but Rampy's already moved off of that position. Somebody tries to rappel through that second floor window. Hot and Cold has that position under watch.
This is a really good... Oh, no, the roam from Fultz. Will it get detected? No is the answer. Merc goes down. No drone work from TSM. Merc on a solo entry, and he's punished for it. The challenge, though, over by T3, goes the way of achieved before he's C4'd by Skies. The assist from SSG, and making that T3 roam a win is massive. They will not only get the leadoff pick, but they will walk away from the roam successful.
Really beautiful stuff from Space Station on that coordination. The Nitro Cell, Hot and Cold having his teammates back. And Rampy knew that in that position he was playing to die. We all knew it as well. The only way you're getting out of there alive is if you kill everybody and then drop down and try to go through the stairs into the basement. And that so seldom happens. So TSM have used about half of this round to clear out that position. The fallback from Houghton and Skies proves to be successful, but it cost TSM greatly. They'll now try to take control of Meeting, and they've got the stage wall in front of them. Hot and Cold has not completely made it back to the bomb site just yet. He's sitting inside of security right now. And if he's got to rotate in the kitchen, he could potentially catch them off guard. Okay. TSM's focus seems to be very much on that pillar part of the bomb site. Hot and Cold does have that rotate, so there's an avenue back. Bolo takes out Fultz, so even though SSG continues to get these very first picks, TSM are keeping it close throughout these rounds.
This is an interesting one so far, Parker. Pillar control for TSM is massive, and oh, the timing! Don't know if that would have been a full exposure there, but either way, opportunity lost. Chala setting up for the plant. Nades going in to try and cover. Bolo uses the Finca charge to heal his teammates up, give him a little bit of overheal, and he's going to go for a push in the hallway. Very dangerous. Will he get away with it? The answer is no. Actually, it's Chala who goes down. Pistol out, and Houghton gets a third.
Okay, that was the round, so now let's go through the setup, the the operators, what the players do, things like this. Okay, so Bosco, Fultz, Hot and Cold, Rampy, and Skies play Smoke, Jaeger, Malusi, Aruni, Mute. So to some extent, some of these operators may be interchangeable, but I wouldn't suggest heavily changing any of this. You pretty well need the Jaeger, you need the ADSs. Maybe Malusi you could switch out. Aruni seems sort of integral, but like if you really wanted to, you could also switch out. And then you definitely can't get rid of Mute and Smoke, I would say, and you might even need both of them, especially because they don't end up pushing Bunker. TSM doesn't. The Smoke, the gadget doesn't come into play too much, but if they had, it would have been important. And Mute, it's important for this kind of thing. When you're doing this really extended hold, the denial of information that Mute offers is second to none. In addition to the C4 ends up being important that Mute brings, and then also he can help do rotates and stuff. It's really difficult for Smoke to do it all in this setup because there are a lot of rotates and lines of sight and stuff, and some of them are even upstairs, so they're not all terribly close to each other. So if you wanted to run a setup like this, which, I mean, I wouldn't exactly advise doing too much in pub play, maybe high-level ranked if you actually have a 5-stack, but this is something that really requires coordination, and especially for your players on site to communicate well and expediently and to be able to hold their own while you rotate back to site if they decide to do a direct hit on site. Okay. So as for the setup of each of the players, it's sort of laid bare for you to see there. So I'll maybe try to move through it quickly because I know this part of the video is not terribly exciting. Bosco sets up his stuff in elbow, and that's really just his shield. That's the only utility Smoke has that he sets up. He'll save the gas canisters for later when he needs them, but he does make a whole bunch of rotates and lines of sight and stuff. So yeah, just an absolute ton. And then Fultz, okay, so he sets up his ADSs in elbow, and that's just one of them to slow down the attackers if they choose to push there. And then 2 of them are going into T3. And as you see up here, again, a T3 hold that it is supported not only with gadgets, but also with players. And we'll cover that when we look at the positions, but I suppose you already saw it somewhat when the round played out. Anyways, there are 2 Aruni gates and 2 ADSs up there in tower to help Rampy hold it. And so yeah, 2 ADSs, barbed wire. One's at lower pillar stairs, so that, I mean, if they try to like do some weird rush there, but also once the players fall back or get killed or whatever, it just is a little thing to slow down the attackers pushing down the stairs. It's a nice little, it's probably one of the best places you can put barbed wire on this objective if you just don't have a very specific use for it. Just throw it on that staircase in particular, but any of the staircases is okay. That's a very good spot. And then the other one in split, and this just protects any players if they fall back to meeting. Nobody's actually playing in meeting at the beginning of the round, but they will fall back through there or rotate through there or whatever as needed. And then he puts up the split double door barricade to, again, stop the attackers, that is, from going into meeting easily. So Hot and Cold does quite a few things. He puts up several walls, as you can see down here, but his gadgets, and this is pretty similar, I think, to the last round I covered when SSG was defending this objective. He puts one on the supply wall next, so when they push in from E-box, it slows them down if they decide to push from there. And then one in the northeast hallway wall, and that slows them down if they're going to push down hallway. And then one on island, so if they try to push into island, into laundry, that is from laundry supply, or on, what is it, storage, laundry storage, they'll get slowed down and the defenders will be notified, or at least the attackers will have to use an explosive to clear it. And then impact, he gives himself a rotate at the top kids wall, so that is the wall between the kids dorm and pit, which is the lower part of attic, if you're not aware. Okay, so just so he can move around the top floor, and Fultz also plays around there, so he can also rotate through there as needed, if needed. And then he puts one also on the right T2 wall. This is during the round that he throws that one, after he, or Rampy, or whoever it is, confirms that the attackers are doing a tower clear. Then he impacts that so that he can help support if he needs to rotate in, and also it just gives him some lines of sight on some of the windows and whatnot. And yeah, puts up the barricade at the bottom of the laundry stairs, so this just stops a rush from there, slows him down. Rampy playing Aruni here. He puts one on the bunker double door, and that is just, I mean, it serves a similar purpose to an ADS there. It eats one of the flashes or whatever you're going to throw through there, and there's an ADS, so they have to, you know, clear both of those things if they want to push bunker. And then he puts one on the north T3 window and one on, I think this is actually incorrect. I think this is supposed to be the south T3 window, if I remember correctly. I'm gonna change it. I think I meant to change that before, and I guess I just forgot. As I go through the round, maybe I'll point out, but it's not terribly important. But one of the T3 windows, there are 3 of them, does not have a gate on it, and he chose this one. So each of the, and I'll talk about this a little bit more in the round probably. Each of the windows, when you're rappelling on them for T3, you can be shot from somewhere. Like I think the south one, you can be shot from satellite window or garage. The north one, you have to run out, but you can run out of like the T1 door that's next to Green Hall, and then the other one, it's right next to north. It's I think it's the west one. You can be seen from like, where would you be able to see that from actually? From small tower, I think actually, yeah, from the small tower window that faces that, and also perhaps a run up. So anyways, you have to worry about all of those if you're an attacker, but so accordingly, Rampy put his things, his Aruna gates on the windows that he thought that they were most likely to repel on. And finally, he puts his bulletproof in laundry facing hallway. And this is actually where, at the very end of the round, TSM decide to push through. This is where they make their final push before they get shut down. But they had already destroyed this bulletproof, so it didn't really come in that much handy. I think we see Bolo shoot it with a Gon 6. So it was useful in that it required him to use his Gon 6, but it didn't really get the much information at the end of the round. Although I think it was probably pretty telegraphed what their final push was when they didn't go through electrical box. Okay, and then finally we have Skies, and he puts his mutes throughout the map. One of them I think was one of the things that I had to look at the other round to see where he put it, because I don't think, maybe you get like a tiny glimpse of it, but I couldn't find it where you put it, and that was this southeast meeting wall, and that's just so they don't, I guess Habana or Ace that wall, or just Maverick, any hard breach on that wall and open it and cut off meeting to rotate through. So the wall's reinforced, it's jammed, and that also stops drones driving that way through split. And then one is in green, and that can be shot if they're in Green Hall at all, but it stops drones coming from kitchen to go through Green Hall. And then one on stage walls to require that to be cleared for the stage walls to open, which TSM eventually has to do. They cleared the jammer with, I think, Maverick. They open the wall and shoot it. And then finally at elbow walls, so there is a rotate in one of the elbow walls, but if and when Bosco falls back through it and puts up the wall, then it's muted and can't really be opened until the mute jammer's cleared, and at that point, it's just probably not going to be opened. And then setup, he does some rotates, mostly upstairs, and maybe he does some of the other ones. I'm not 100% clear on who did some of them, I think, but I'm assuming all of the downstairs ones were done by Bosco. And then since he goes up into kitchen, he puts up this double door barricade, stop them from pushing there slightly, and he opens the box hatch so that players can fall back through there. I think that was him anyways. Yeah, so that took like way longer than I actually expected. I was gonna breeze through it, and then I did a detailed thing. Oh well, you're welcome. Or maybe you hated it, I don't know. All right, these are all the walls that they put up. One of them, this kid's wall, I had to go to the other round to see because I don't think it ever showed it, but as you can see, Hot and Cold puts up like 4 of the walls, and anyways, Bottom Freezer, yeah, okay, well you can see which walls are put up by whom, it's pretty clear. And then of course this last wall they never put up, but it's just in the pocket of, I guess, any player that wants to put up the wall, but it's meant for once elbow control is lost, Bosco falls back through there, and then it's presumably him, but any player can put that wall up to stop them from coming through the elbow rotate. Okay, so that is everything as far as the setup that I think I need to cover. I mean, it's a lot of stuff, and I guess let's just do a quick run through of what happens in the round, and then we'll cut back to the round and watch it as it goes down, and I'll maybe point some things out. Okay, so starting positions, Bosco starts around sight, around elbow. I don't know if he's literally at elbow at the beginning of the round, but that's where he's intended to play, to hold down bunker as the smoke. Sky starts around T1. I think it is actually in like meeting when the round starts, but he's getting into position, finishing up a few things, putting down his last jammers. Fultz starts around games. He is meant to cover Hot and Cold's back mostly. Maybe if he needs to, he can go to satellite window to peek onto tower, or he can go to like another window, maybe the kids window to peek on that side of tower. And that was, I think, the other window I was forgetting that can see onto west side of tower. Okay, so he starts around there, and yeah, so he watches Hot and Cold's back. Hot and Cold starts in attic to support Rampy, who is up in T3. And the reason you do this is so that the attackers can't push through tower and meeting really until you get cleared. Now, technically, if you're up in T3, you can't shoot them if they're at T1. Like you can't see them, but you have to worry about them coming down on you. You don't want to get pinched, flanked, whatever. So if you want to push from that side at all, which is generally the preferred side. You can sort of do a front end freezer take, but it's sort of difficult to do if you have no pressure on bunker or E-box hatch or backstairs or any of that stuff. So teams usually like to do this bunker and E-box and backstairs push. Okay, so they need to clear this out if they want to do that. And I think they have the read on TSM that they do like to do this push. So they are assuming that they would try to clear it, and they do. So Rampy starts getting pressured, so Hot and Cold opens the T2 wall with an impact to support him. He's watching windows. He's watching swing-ins, stuff like this. Volts goes on drone, and Merc pushes into the top floor from, I don't know, maybe he goes up main stairs, maybe he comes in through Armory, not 100% sure, but he gives up his back to Fultz because he doesn't know Fultz is there. It's just a lot of stuff to drone the entire top floor and attic and T3 and all this stuff to figure out what's going on. They could have maybe droned this out a little bit better, but there are several rooms around there. It's kind of difficult. And maybe they thought that they wouldn't have 3 players all playing for the top floor. Not sure, but regardless of the reason they don't drone Fultz, Fultz just gets to shoot Merc in the back. He does get pretty close to, he's like in pit, I think, when he finally gets killed. So if he'd just survived a little bit longer, he would have maybe been able to get the jump on Hot and Cold, but maybe not. Okay, so Fultz kills him. First kill of the round, and then finally Achieve kills Rampy from the south T3 window, and yeah, so I think that's actually where the Arena Gate was, now that I'm thinking about it. And right after he kills him, Skies throws his Nitro Shell through the window below him, so the west T2 window, and he kills him. And I'm not sure about the logistics of the thing, like so I think Achieve quick repels down into the Nitro Cell, so I'm not sure if he would have died if he hadn't gone down. I'm not sure how that went down, but regardless, Skies kills him and then he falls back. So at this point, Space Station is up 4-3, so it all worked out. Like, they wasted utility from TSM, and they wasted time from TSM, and they went up in man count. So, all good things. Now, Fultz and Skies go both back to the bottom floor, and Hot and Cold stays up in control just to, force them, maybe shoot some drones, maybe get a flank off, things like this. They never actually pushed there, so he could have, if he wanted to push all the way up Green Hall, would have been a little bit risky. Going through meeting as well, also risky, especially because they're going to open the stage wall. But he eventually, I think, just goes down into freezer, and he shuts him down at the end of the round, but we'll get there. So Skies changes, and this is notable because this is actually where Hot and Cold gets the first of the final 3 kills. Skies makes the freezer wall line of sight into a rotate, so you can go back, so you can get into sight from freezer, not only through freezer door, but also through this rotate. And then, okay, TSM finishes their droning. They open the stage wall by mavericking a little hole, shooting the mute jammer, and then blowing it open. I guess the mute jammer was impeding them more than they thought. It seems like they didn't need to open this wall, but it makes it a lot easier to hold down meeting and stuff if you open it, and then it's safer. Yeah, they decided to do it when it seems like they could have just walked in the door and shot the jammer instead of using Maverick, or they could have just not opened the wall at all. But maybe they weren't sure where the actual players were because they didn't have great information, I don't think, at this point, having lost a lot of time and drones and players. Okay, and then Bolo goes into pillar, and this I think is off screen, but he kills Fultz in freezer, and the only way that this could have happened based on the angle, you see Fultz is dead player icon, but when players get killed, the icon isn't just exactly where they get killed. Usually the body will like maybe stumble. Sometimes it'll maybe fall straight down, but if they're standing up, it'll usually stumble and fall to the side. So it looks like there's no way he would have had an angle on him, but there is an angle you can get from pillar into there. So he would have had to been like kind of close up on hallway in pillar, but either Fultz was standing to the on a little pixel angle, or you can actually get an angle if you stand, I think, on the sink over top of this cabinet thing in freezer into pillar. So it's one of those 2 angles, but either way, Bolo kills him. So at this point, it's a 3v3, but TSM has to now push into sight. But they do have, they have decent control. They don't actually have bunker, but they could maybe go into bunker if they want. But they effectively have E-box and pillar control. And of course, hallway's clear. You can't just sit in hallway. So they have to worry about the player that's at elbow. They have to worry about who's in supply and laundry and all this stuff. And they have to worry about freezer. So, admittedly, a lot to worry about. There is one point we see where Bolo, where is it? They go to pillar. And here, Skies moves. He rotates through the closet rotate from laundry. He wants to get into closet rather, through the corner room rotate. And Bolo might have been able to see him, might have killed him, but right as Bolo goes off the angle is when he rotates. So he got a little bit lucky there, it looks like. And then, you know, Bosco's sitting in elbow still, and Hot and Cold still in freezer. He finally rotated down. And then all three TSM players, they just pushed down hallway. I don't know what their play was exactly. Like, I guess they want to just push in laundry, get that kill. Maybe they thought nobody was in freezer, and they wouldn't have been pinched. But anyway, Hot and Cold peeks from the freezer rotate, he kills Chala, and then he goes back around, and he goes through the freezer door, and he, with his pistol, he kills Geo and then Bolo to win the round. So at the end of the round, like, it's a really cool strat, right? And it looked like it worked fairly well. Like, they went up, they wasted time, and they killed players, and they, you know, probably burned some util and stuff. But at the end of the round, it came down to just like a 3v3, and I guess part of it was a lucky pick. Maybe Fultz was getting a bit greedy, or it was just a mega nice shot from Bolo. But it was just a 3v3, and yeah, it was a desperate push. So, I mean, it's up to you to decide. And so now, yeah, let's cut to the video, and I'll go through and pause and explain maybe a few things.
TSM
Okay, so once again, I have the commentary playing in the background so that you guys can hear it a little bit. It's probably pretty quiet, but I don't have it so I can hear it. So if I say anything exactly the same as they're saying, just keep in mind it's because I cannot hear what they're saying. I'm probably like way louder, right? Anyways, okay, so they're doing the setup. You can see Bosco, he's making this hole. He decides to put it at the bottom at this wall rather than this wall. He puts a shield, jammer, all this stuff I covered. Hot and Cold's putting his Banshee here to stop them if they want to push in here, which they never end up doing. But so this is the spot where Rampy put or will put his bulletproof camera. He's about to do it right now, I think, right? Yeah, there he goes. And then Hot and Cold gets his hatch. So in variations on the strat, like they don't reinforce freezer hatch, but they don't open it, and they don't reinforce meaning hatch, and they do open that one. But I don't think there's ever a version of this strat where you're gonna want to not reinforce that hatch. That's just there's no reason that, like, you're never gonna want to rotate back there. It's way too dangerous to go through the lobby when they could be at front door, or even to get there. Like, it's just too much to worry about. It's not a good place to rotate through. So you should always reinforce that one. So yeah, ADS is there, and that's going to help Rampy. He's now going to go up, and he's going to set up his stuff. These walls are reinforced. That's going to get opened, I think, by Skies. So Rampy's going to go up here, and here's Chala's drone going in. You know, they want to push into here, or, well, he's getting it ready to push in. He's going to first advance so that he's closer. So, oh no, okay, so I did have it wrong. Or he moves that, right? Yeah, that's okay. So that's why I had it wrong, because he sets it up. So he moves it there for some reason. I don't know why he decided this one instead of this one. So now Chala's repelling here. This is generally the safest side to repel. If you, again, repel here, you have to worry about this window getting C4'd from it, I guess, which is what happens there, or the satellite window, which is down over here, or garage or whatever. And then if you repel this side, like I said, kids window or like small tower, you gotta kind of be concerned with. So this one's pretty safe. You can still get run out on, but you actually have to run outside. Can't just be peeked from a window. So now Rampy's, thinking, okay, what are they gonna do here? Like, the drone came from there, so I guess somebody threw that from like down low. But there's multiple people repelling. He needs to keep checking windows. It's really hard to play these positions, but you can. So you can hide behind this thing, right? And I'm not actually 100% sure if it's bulletproof or not. I imagine it's not, right? It's pretty thin metal. But you can hide yourself from vision here, and maybe from both. Not 100% sure. But if you do hide there and they know you're there, they can frag you just like anywhere else up here. Of course, you can be. The floor is destructible. It's all wood, so this can be fragged or shot through or whatever. So again, pretty dangerous. But if you know they're only on one of the windows, it's like you're not really in any danger at all. There's of course somewhere you can just sit to not be seen by a window. It's only at the point that they are on multiple windows that you have to be concerned. So they threw a frag there. They thought he was there, and he was just there a minute ago, actually. So that might have killed him, but it didn't. So here's Hot and Cold. He opened that hole, and now he's thinking, oh, am I going to get pushed from the back? He might have just got droned or something, and maybe that's why he's checking his back. But Fultz does have his back. Here comes Merc from Armory or stairs or whatever, and here he goes. Didn't get intel on him. I guess, that's not a common position to be playing. And now Rampy's going to end up losing this fight, but watch. So he dies. So I don't know where the C4 landed, if it was on the top here or the bottom of the windowsill, or if it was like detonated midair or something, but it seems like he wouldn't have died if he stayed up there, right? So I don't know why he quick repelled. Maybe he thought he heard the C4 and he thought he was going to come through the top window somehow. I don't know, but it gets him one way or another, and now Skies falls back. They got their kills, they're up 4-3, and they probably, they killed some number of drones, and Bolos used a frag and all this stuff, so good. And now, if you fall back, they even have to do their due diligence Unless TSM's making the bold call of, oh yeah, they definitely fell back, so let's just assume that they fell back. So, and which you can't exactly do, because they have no reason to fall back completely. They still have all this other rest of the map, and Hot and Cold's taking advantage of this. But they could have fell back. Like, this is a good bunker objective. It's hard to push into, especially in the current circumstances. So, right, there's a mute jammer here, so he puts his thermite charge on the wall, but now he's like, okay, Geo, come on, you gotta maverick this so I can get this open. But again, they could just come over here and like shoot it, but Hot and Cold is here. He, of course, can't see that just now, but if he advanced slightly, he would be able to get them. So they open this, and now they have full vision in the meeting. Nobody can really go through there without taking a challenge, taking a difficult fight against an attacker with a rifle, while they have a submachine gun. And now Hot and Cold keeps waiting. He thinks maybe he'll get a free pick or whatever. But at this point, I think is probably when Hotten's falling back. He's like, okay, 3v3. They're clearly in pillar, like they're gonna need my help pushing, or repelling the push rather, the defenders will. And so we have again, who is this? Sky's over here, Bosco over here, and Hot and Cold's over here. And watch, he gets off the angle right as he was rotating through. So that's very unfortunate timing. That could have turned the tide of the round, although, you know, Hot and Cold actually gets all 3 kills. But maybe if they'd got that kill, they would have decided to go through E-box instead of hallway. So they have to worry about this Banshee still. I think they already cleared the bulletproof here. And now they have to worry about... they probably don't know about this, is why the first guy dies. They're assuming they can push safely down hallway as long as they don't expose themselves to this line of sight and worry about this. But Bosco has this cross, and Sky's, if they come into here, he can see them here, or he can swing here. He already uses C4, so if they go for a plant here, he can't actually stop them. So I'm curious why they don't do that. Probably, maybe they do know or think somebody's in freezer and they don't want to worry about this cross, but I'm not sure why they decide to do this hallway execute rather than this execute and try to plant. So then Hot and Cold comes through this, and again, this is where that rotate came in clutch. That wasn't there at the beginning of the round. Skies made that. And then he just comes down here, and I don't know what they're worrying about exactly. I guess maybe Skies is swinging them? Or no, but he's still over here. So I don't know actually what they're looking at. Like, they're just fighting ghosts or something. Maybe it wasn't clear what had just happened. And yeah, so they win the round. And I mean, I guess that's pretty much all there is to it. Nice celebration, and I think Parker is like, just as I pause it, like screaming, or maybe it was a second ago. Yeah, so is it the new SSG hold, like their clubhouse hold that they pioneered way back in the day when, I mean, I guess it's still Bolts, Rampy, and Bosco were on the squad, but now Hot and Cold and Skies are here, and I imagine Canadian and Lycan had a lot to do with that strat, but also, well, Lycan's still here, so perhaps the mastermind remains. Yeah, I wouldn't call this the new SSG hold. Like, it's very similar in a lot of ways in that they're doing a sort of roam on the top floor when they are defending basement, and they bring a mute to help support it. On the other map, it was way back in the day when they did the original strat. It was Castle, Vigil, Mute, Mozzie, and then whoever else on site, like Legion or Smoke or whoever. But yeah, they pioneered that one, and this one, I think it's been done before. I think I've seen APAC and LATAM teams do it, and maybe other teams as well, but nice spin on it, I guess. I assume this isn't the exact way. And for some reason, SSG really likes doing that T3 thing. I don't know, maybe Rampy just likes it, or they just think it's just really powerful. I'm not sure, but they do like doing it. And I guess that's pretty much it. So, I mean, if you want to see anything else in particular about this round, I believe I covered it all. I had all the bullet points for all the important plot events in the round. I had all the setup things. A couple of them were assumed, but I'm pretty positive that those were the walls reinforced and all the line of sights made and all this stuff. And okay, so at this point, I don't think there's anything less to do. This video is also, you know, mega long. So I guess I said I was going to do all of them, but I guess all of the SSG laundry defense rounds that they've done, and there have been 5. This is only the second video. I'll do at least the third one, the other round from this game, but I don't know if I'll do the other ones. Actually, I'll look through them and see if they're terribly interesting or not. And if they're not, then I'll just not cover them, because these videos are super long and take a decent amount of effort to make when I could be focusing on other things. Okay, so with all of that being said, I will catch you in the next one.